Hi, my name is Zach Kuzno. Thanks for watching this presentation on Case Study 2 from Business 531 at Cornerstone University. My goal is to provide some insight and perspective from a project management point of view when thinking of cost, quality, and team management. The case study called Blue Sky Project is from our textbook, Project Management, the Managerial Process of Microsoft Project, 6th edition. In this case study, we can see how Hudson could have made better decisions. I will quickly cover 4 topics of discussion. 1. Actions that Hudson could take now. 2. How Hudson should respond to his boss. 3. Mistakes that Hudson made along the way, which put him in this situation. And finally, lessons we can learn from and the correlating recommendations. The first action I would take if I were in Hudson's position is to hold a closing meeting where all the people involved with the project can be recognized for their input and outstanding work can be noted, such as Grant Hills. This type of team recognition from Hudson shows that he is leading from start to finish. The second action would be to develop a better relationship with Grant Hill. It's extremely important to have good relationships, especially with those who are also leaders within the group. Without the relationship, Grant could have pulled a mutiny and taken over the project direction altogether. The third potential action would be for Hudson to collaborate with the core team in order to provide direction. Hudson's title as director should be more direction-oriented instead of task-oriented. Leaders should be removing obstacles and providing strategic direction instead of focusing on specific tasks. Hudson is not a people person, but he still needs to be collaborating with key individuals like Grant Hill in order to provide direction. So Hudson's response to his director. At the beginning of this project, it was made clear to Hudson that one of the outcomes of the Blue Sky project was a headcount reduction. Based on the visible leadership qualities displayed in Grant Hill, the associate directors are recommending that Hudson be let go. So the Institute director has now approached Hudson after the project is completed and is giving him a chance to make a case for keeping his job. So first, Hudson needs to remind the director of why he was hired in the beginning. His expertise was and will be key to implementing future projects effectively and accurately. Second, Hudson must specifically explain how his input and direction with the Blue Sky project was critical for a successful implementation. And finally, perhaps the most important, Hudson really must recognize the reasons why Grant Hill appears to be more favorable and identify specific actionable things to accommodate a more interpersonal approach to project management. Overall, Hudson must recognize his weaknesses and convince his director that change is possible. The Institute needs his expertise, but they also need strong leadership. So now we'll take a look at some of the mistakes Hudson made in this case study. First, the failure to interact with his team regularly. When the leadership is not visible, then leaders' influence on the team becomes lower and lower. Second, as a director, Hudson needed to be setting and managing the direction of the entire team instead of focusing specifically on his tasks. He seemed to be withdrawing from the job that he had taken on and just wanted to be a team member versus a leader. Number 3, Hudson was not much help in solving problems. He only solved problems that related to his specific tasks. If it weren't for Grant, the rest of the problems would have been unsolved. His overall communication skills really need a lot of improvement. Leaders must be able to communicate effectively across the entire project team. Hudson seemed to leave a lot of that communication up to Grant. So, some of the lessons learned. I want to review these a little bit with you and the recommendations. If the problems or failures we face do not create opportunities, then we're not approaching them correctly. Hudson encountered some problems in this case study, and for the sake of his job, he needs to learn from them. Here are the key lessons Hudson should have learned. First, he needs to have regular interaction with all team members. The team members saw only one person actively working to solve problems, and that person was Grant. Their opinion is that Hudson was not leading well. Whether true or not, Hudson wasn't managing his own reputation. As the Information Systems Director, Hudson needs to be visibly involved in all areas of the project, not just the parts that he likes best. Second, Hudson must realize that directing requires leadership. As the director, he must set and manage the direction. Many times, leadership is more about enabling and empowering the team versus completing specific tasks. From this standpoint, Grant was more of a leader than Hudson. Hudson must learn to separate his task responsibilities from his leadership responsibilities. And finally, communication is really important to set expectations and, again, enable the team to be successful. Project managers and leaders cannot just create a plan, say go, and expect the project to go flawlessly. They must be involved at a higher level, but still in all areas of the project. They do this by communicating. Communication can be done in a lot of different ways, and Grant's communication may be a little bit different than Hudson's. However, a complete failure to communicate is impossible to work with. Hudson must figure out how to communicate effectively, otherwise his days are limited. If Hudson can learn these lessons and improve his leadership skills, he may have a shot at keeping his job, but he's really going to have to come out of his shell and sell it to the managing director.